Hi everyone, Flavia here and welcome to day 5 of Spellbinder's 2025 Craft Advent Calendar series. In this video, we will be opening this door over here, door number 5, and in case you have missed any of my previous videos, know that you can find a link in the description box down below so you can check it out later. So yesterday we did open this door over here, which contained a very fun small stamp set, and today we're gonna open this door over here, and again I'm gonna be using a craft knife so I do not damage these beautiful designs. Okay, so as we open this door, here we have a picture of the surprise inside. So it looks like it's gonna be a die set. So this is the 4th die set included in the Advent calendar for 2025 so far. So let me show you the other sets in case you've missed the previous videos. So this is the stamp set that we got on day 1 that we can use to create a very cute puppy. Then on day 2, I believe, we got this other cute set that we can use to cut out a bunny inside a hat. And yesterday for day 4, I used this die set to make stamps. And today it looks like we're gonna be playing with some really beautiful die cut blooms. So here are all of the die plates included in today's die set, and I think this is gonna look gorgeous. So notice here that the metal plate's not only going to cut out the paper, but it also is gonna add a lot of beautiful impressions on the cardstock. So I'm really excited about this die set. So off screen I cut out all of these pieces using Spellbinder's cardstock, and we're gonna begin by gluing all of these pieces together using strong liquid glue so we can create our beautiful blooms that we're gonna use to make a note card. So here are all of the die cut blooms already assembled and ready to go. So I'm gonna move these aside and begin working on the card base. By the way, I'm using the Spellbinder's craft stacks to store my die cuts and my die sets, and they do stack up nicely, which is pretty great. So today's note card is gonna be an A2 size split gatefold note card with a landscape orientation. And to create this card base, we need a piece of cardstock that measures 11 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall, and we are going to score this cardstock at 2 3/4 from both ends of this panel. I'm gonna do one side first at the front and in the back, and then do the same thing on the other side of this panel. Now we can go ahead and fold these 2 flaps in, and just like that we have created an A2 size complete gatefold card base. Now we can begin decorating the front of this note card using these beautiful die-cut blooms. So to make things easier for me, I'm gonna begin by temporarily taping these two flaps down, and then I will begin by temporarily placing the die cuts where I think I want it to go, and once I like the placement of each die cut, I will go ahead and use strong glue to glue them in place. So right now I am simply playing around with these die cuts and positioning them in different places so I can decide which placement I like better, and once I like it, I will permanently glue them in place using strong glue. One thing to keep in mind as you glue these large die cut pieces in place is to be careful so you do not glue the note card closed. So make sure that you do not overlap these pieces. Actually, you can overlap these pieces if you want to. However, you just need to make sure that you only glue them to one side of the note card, so later you are able to actually open the note card. So for example, with this flower right here at the bottom, I think I want this to overlap this other flower on the other side of the note card. So to do that, I will make sure that I only apply liquid glue to the right side of this flower, and I'm gonna leave this side, the left side, with no liquid adhesive, because if I glue this down, I won't be able to open the note card. So as I flip this, I am only going to apply liquid glue to the stem, the leaf on the right side, and to the right side of this flower. So now, before I add the smaller die cut blooms, I'm gonna remove the tape and just make sure that I can actually open the note card, even though I did overlap this flower over here. And now that I know it works, I can go ahead and add the smaller die cut pieces and then work on the sentiment for this note card. So again, I'm going to temporarily place the smaller pieces where I think I want it to go, and once I do like the placement, I'll go ahead and again glue them in place. Okay, so now that I have all of my beautiful blooms glued in place, I am actually gonna go ahead and trim off the excess that is hanging off at the bottom, and just go around each die cut and see if there is any section that needs more liquid glue. So I think it looks good. Everything is safe and glued in place. Now the next step, this is actually optional, but I do want to add another smaller panel inside this note card just to make it feel heavier, but it's up to you. So this extra panel measures 5¼ inches wide by 4 inches tall, and I'm just gonna glue this right in the center because I do prefer when my note cards are a little bit heavier, even if it costs me extra postage when mailing it. This is the note card. We are almost done. I might use these extra pieces to decorate the flap of the envelope, but now we need to think about the sentiment for this note card. So I am actually not loving this one because since this die cut has 2 different layers, it doesn't look as neat. Maybe for most people this wouldn't be a problem, but it's really bothering me. So I think we're gonna try to remove this flower that is hanging off and it's overlapping on the other side, and try to glue it back in place but without overlapping the other side so the back doesn't show. And if that doesn't work out, then I might have to start all over. So I'm gonna use a craft knife and I'm gonna try to be as careful as I can, and wish me luck. Okay, so I was able to remove it. Now I'm gonna see if I can cover these sections, which means I'm gonna need to cut out a few more pieces, which is fine. So I did use a sanding block to sand this section of the paper, and now I am actually going to take this down in place, and I'm going to cut off the leaves from this stem because I might need to reposition them to cover my mistake. Okay, so you know what? As crazy as it was, I was able to save this note card. So I removed that die cut that was hanging off, and I sanded the cardstock with a sanding block like this, and then I added that large die cut piece back, trying to cover the sections that I really messed up, and I ended up adding a few more extra die cuts at the bottom to hide my messed up sections even more. Then to make it even, I also added a few die cut pieces on this side as well, and a few more die cut leaves. And unless you look pretty close, I think it looks fine. You can't really tell that I really messed it up. So now moving on to the sentiment. To make things easier for me for once, I went over the ready-to-go foiled sentiments that I have, and I am actually thinking about using this one. This is a hot foiled and die cut sentiment that reads "Thinking of You," and I do have a couple of options, and I am thinking about maybe this one. I'm not sure. I like them all. I'll go with this one. So with card designs like this, I do like the idea of the sentiment overlapping both sides. What was really bothering me is that the die cut has 2 layers of cardstock, so in the back it is not so neat. However, with this sentiment die cut, it is just 1 layer of cardstock, so it is all white in the back, so it doesn't look as bad. It looks fine when you open the note card because it is just 1 layer of cardstock. So because of that, I am actually going to glue this down in the center, which means that when we open the note card, one side of the die cut in the back is gonna show, but again, totally fine because it is just 1 layer of white cardstock. So that's what I'm gonna do, which means I need to only apply glue to one side, 1/2 of this die cut, so I am able to open the note card. So I think I'm gonna add glue to the left side only, and then glue this down right in the center, pretty close to the die cut plumes. So this way, when the note card is closed, it looks like this is all one piece, and when we open, it opens like so. By the way, to make this sentiment, I used a set by Spellbinders. So this is the must-have sentiments by Simon Hurley. With Spellbinders, it has lots of really great sentiments, and it comes with this one plate that allow us to hot foil lots of sentiments at once, and then we get the coordinating die plate that will cut out all of the foiled sentiments at once, which is such a time saver, and that is why I have so many of it ready to go. So I feel that creating with this 2025 Crafty Advent Calendar is actually making me use my older supplies, which I think is really great, and I hope this inspires you to also go over your old supplies because they never expire, and it is always fun to use them again when you are also combining it with new supplies, which is what I did today with the surprise behind door number 5 of the Crafty Advent Calendar. So I do love this note card as it is. It has a lot of sparkle, but I might add a few embellishments. We'll see. So finally, here is a closer look at the completed note card along with the matching envelope. For the envelope, I decided to use a craft color envelope, and I added 2 thin cardstock strips to the flap of this envelope, same color as the colors of cardstock that I used to make the note card. And then I added a leftover die cut flower in the center. And here is the final note card. I cannot believe I made this so complicated, but I really didn't want to let it go to waste or start all over, and I am really happy with the final result. I did add some die-cut butterflies that I cut from glitter cardstock, and I used this small plate included in the Spellbinders Step into Spring die set. Actually, I used this one. We have 2 options, 2 size options, and I used the smallest plate. So here is a closer look at all of the die-cut elements and the foiled sentiment. Notice that it has a lot of shine, and this is how it opens. Again, because it's only 1 layer, I don't mind showing the back of the die cut. So this completes this video, and I thank you for spending this time with me. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the review of the surprise behind door number 6 of Spellbinders 2025 Craft Advent Calendar. I hope you have an amazing day, take care, and happy crafting!